This time on Ask Rad Rat, we solve the mystery of why street skating in America is so much harder. Why are you so much more likely to get kicked out of spots, have cops called on you and stuff like that? I think I've got a good answer, too, actually. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Rad Rat Video, a channel where you can learn new things about skateboarding, either seeing weird old skateboarding games that I like to torture myself with, or reviews of all different kinds of things, and answering your questions on this series, Ask Rad Rat. Got a few questions for you today, first of which is from Kyle, who says, I've been skating for around 19 years at this point, 24 years old now. One thing I've never figured out is what a slipped axle is. After some late Googling, I'm finding rough explanations. Okay, so this was solved probably when you were too young to notice. Watch my video on Grind King right here, because I'm pretty sure they had the first non-slip axle. What it used to be back in the day was the hanger was, it had the axle in it, and the axle was just straight in the hanger. And if you bashed it on the ground real hard, it could break free and slide. So what Grind King did is they had it, the axle have like a bend in it, so that it couldn't slide. So nowadays, every brand has their own version of that. You know, like the axle is round, then it comes in, it flattens out, and it's round again, so that there's no way for it to move. That's what that is. I know, I had the same thing too, because this problem was solved before I started skating. So like, why do I see in old ads like non-slip axles, or even now they'll even mention like our non-slip axle is blah, blah, blah. A lot of skaters our age don't know what a slipping axle is like. I've never skated some trucks where the axle slipped either. So yeah, that's what it is, but it's kind of funny that they still advertise it sometimes. Okay, next question is from Roy. It says, I'm 32, just getting into skating. When I went to the skate shop, I found this really cool zero deck with Jamie Thomas. Since he was the only skater I recognized after playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater so much, I ended up getting the board and never looking back. My question is, do you remember your very first skateboard? Do you ever long to have it again for nostalgic reasons? Thank you for reading my question. Have a great day. My first skateboard was from Walmart, and I wouldn't be able to pick it out of a lineup if I saw it again. And it's, you know, well, did I say Walmart? I meant Kmart. If you don't know the difference, whatever. But I got it from Kmart, and it was completely flat, no concave type of board. Just terrible junk board. So like, would I like to have it again? I would like to have that exact one again. Pretty sure we gave it away to a cousin or whatever, sold it at a garage sale for 25 cents or something like that. I would have liked to have saved that one and had it again. If there was a new copy available on eBay that I could pick up, I wouldn't really care. But I would like to have some of the pro models I've skated throughout the years again. I used to have a sponsor, kind of. They sponsored me with like a 10% off coupon or something like that. So I had my channel on YouTube back in the day. It was a different channel than this one, but I had like 40,000 subscribers or so. And I was trying to get sponsors for boards and have their logo on screen and all this stuff. And the best I could find, I contacted like everybody, mostly really small brands that I thought I had a chance at. And the best I got was a brand called Struggle, and they gave me like a 10% off coupon, and it was like the Silver Flow package or something like that. So like my coupon code was like Flow Silver 10 or something like that, and I don't know. But that was the best I ever got with that. But since it was a small brand, they had really cool graphics that I liked, and the decks were like really strong. I don't know if they used a different kind of resin. Like they weren't just buying blanks and printing stuff on it. They were doing something different. And yeah, like I remember I tried to focus one day. It was a really rough day, whatever. Couldn't land my trick. Tried to focus it, and the board bent slightly, and that's it. And it was fine. But yeah, like that was never in skate shops and stuff. It was just like a small company somewhere. And so if I could have some of those old boards again and hang them up on the wall, I think that would be cool, because that would be a nostalgia thing. Some of the other boards that I had back in the day, I had like a Pop War, I had a Girl board, I had all kinds of different stuff. To be able to have a lineup of all the different decks I've skated over the years, I think would be cool. I don't think I would do it, maybe a couple of them. But I think that would be cool. My first board, though, was nothing special. Okay, the next question is from Parker. What are your top 5 levels from the Tony Hawk series? Okay, so these are all going to be from the first few games because those are my favorite. But number 5 is the cruise ship in Tony Hawk 3. I just think it's really big level. There's a lot of verticality to it, like the different decks that you can go down to, and lots of different things you can skate on that move around. You can like skate the thing in a little museum, and then the ball rolls out and breaks stuff. Like there's a lot to it that I think is cool. I like a lot of the challenges there. It's like a vacation at the end of the game because you beat it and then you get it. So you get to do all this stuff. I don't know. I've just spent a lot of time there that I enjoyed. The next one is Venice and Tony Hawk 2, which is not my favorite from a gameplay perspective. Like some of the challenges there, like draining the fountain and stuff, are really, really hard. But in an annoying kind of way, like trying to grind up there or get the gap to jump up and land from the stairs. It's not my favorite stuff to do, but I really liked that level just to free skate because it felt like a real spot. Now we got Skate and Skater XL and all that stuff, but back in the day, having a level where you're skating on pavement and not on grass or dirt, or you're in the woods somewhere, all the weird stuff they did later, this just felt like a real place. And it was Love Park. You could skate the Love Gap, and it was the Fountain Gap. And like it felt like a real place, and I really liked that. Third is College in Tony Hawk 4, kind of a similar reason, although you could skate like in a trench and like grind on a log, and it was getting to that point where it wasn't that realistic. But there's a lot to do in that level, lots of little spots that are tucked away, and you can skate up into the parking structure area, and there's stuff in there, and there's just lots of other stuff. And I remember the first time I played that game, that's the first level in that game, you get done with 3, then 4 is all new and different, and there's no timers anymore until you talk to somebody. You can free skate. I spent a lot of time on that level, and I had a lot of fun. Next one is LA in Tony Hawk 3, because again, because it felt real, but also because you could do the earthquake, and when you did that, it restructured a lot of the level. A lot of stuff happened. You can knock the car off and it fell down. Like there's lots of things you could affect and you could do. And I remember being so blown away in by the car wash in the back corner. There's a store where there's a window and there's stuff in there. And in the PlayStation 1 days, if you ever looked in a window and there was 3D objects in there, you could go in there somehow. Like that's how you could tell if there's a secret area in a Tony Hawk 2 level, is if it was actually 3D modeled, you could probably get in there. But in this game, they just did that for graphics. Like you can't get in there, but it's like something you could look at. And I was just blown away by how high tech and impressive this was. It's the first PS2 game, first PS2 Tony Hawk game. So that one I was very impressed by at the time. And number 1 is School 2 and Tony Hawk 2, of course, because it's the best level. There's a lot of stuff to do, lots of variety. It felt realistic. It has a lot of real spots in it too. I didn't care about that so much at the time because I started skating after that game came out, but I played it so much, and that is just the best level in my favorite game in the series. So those are my top 5. Let's look at the next question from Ash. Okay, I know that you reviewed some bad games and you suffer. Was there a bad game that you reviewed that you kind of enjoyed playing it? I have to say Thrasher. So like, if you didn't play Thrasher when it came out, you'd hate it. Like, if you were to play this game right now for the first time, it would probably just be unbearably bad. The controls are ridiculous. So the way that you do tricks is you hold a button combination and then let go, and that's what you do. So you don't like ollie and then hit, kick flip or a 360 flip in the air. You hit it before you leave the ground. And like the shoulder buttons will modify things in different ways. So like, and there's no spin either, kind of. But like to do a front side flip is its own trick. It's not do a kick flip and spin. You can only really spin if you got a ton of air on vert or something like that. So you have to, like, to do a nollie backside flip, you end up holding both of the, like, both of these shoulder buttons and one of these buttons and like 2 face buttons, I think. I don't remember the specifics. I would remember if I had the controller in my hand again, but it sounds terrible because it's been done so much better nowadays. But when that game came out, it was the most realistic skating game by a mile. Nothing else was even close. This was like you had to plan your trick. Tricks felt different because if you were going to roll up to a ledge and you knew you had to hold right, to switch to a heel flip, let's say, that would make you turn slightly. So like you had to plan for which trick you were doing. And I have a lot of love for that game, but if I were to objectively look at it right now, play it for the first time, it's terrible. Like I know that it is, but I love it anyway. Okay. The next question is from Tom B, who says, I'm from Germany, and I always wonder why the US has all those no skate zones and skate blockers. I've never seen any of this all over Europe. You can even skate at most malls I've been to. All the boomers are usually friendly towards skaters and sometimes sit down and watch them. This damn kids and their skateboards meme doesn't exist over here. The only things you can't skate are churches and things like that. Is it because American streets are more skatable than European ones? Or is it maybe some insurance issue where you can't have people get injured on your property? It is insurance, but that's just an excuse, really. I don't think that's really what people are thinking of when they have a problem with it. I think there's two different things that are causing this. And it's really cool to hear how much different it is there. I have seen things like that. There was a documentary, like a mini documentary on skating, like street skating in Germany specifically. And they were showing people just like hanging out and watching. Here, that's not the case. And I think there's 2 reasons. First is Americans are really obsessed with their rights. And if you are doing anything to impede on my rights, then there's a problem. Okay, so you can see this if you look at how Americans are handling the pandemic, and refusing to wear masks because I have a right to not wear one. I don't care what science says. I don't care that I'm going to kill a bunch of people at the store. I have a right to not do it, and that's a very common thing here. There's a different, so here's an example. When I was a kid, I lived on a dirt road in a place where it snowed a lot. It snowed like 2 feet at a time, a lot. The roads didn't get plowed because it was so far from anything that they would have to plow all the towns before they would get to us. So there were lots of times when you just couldn't leave the house unless you had a giant truck. You just couldn't go anywhere. And so some of the neighbors would get on their snowmobiles and drive around on the roads. And it's technically illegal because they're not street legal. They don't have like license plates and stuff like that. But they're not hurting anybody. There's barely any cars out there except for the big trucks. And they're just driving down the roads and having fun. My dad hated it. He would get so mad at every time because they were loud. That's it. There was no other reason. It wasn't like it's not safe or anything. It was just, I have to hear it. Right. So the thing is, if you rephrase it in a more American way, I have the right to quiet at my house, and they are impeding on that right. They're having a lot of fun, and it's almost nothing for me. It very minorly messes with my day. I have to make the tiniest sacrifice for them to have a ton of fun. I'm not going to do it. They don't have the right to impose on me. And I think that's a very American thing. And so that's what happens with street skating a lot. If you go to an office building somewhere and you want to skate those stairs out front, you're going to run into that feeling a lot. I have the right to be here because I have an appointment here, or I work here, or, I have some business here. You don't have the right to be here. You are getting in my way. I have to stop and I have to wait for you before I can go up those stairs. Like, I'm not going to sacrifice anything to do what I have to do. So you are in my way. You don't belong here. It's a problem. That happens a lot. So I think that's one of the big reasons. And I'm sure it's like this in other places too. I have to take your word that all over Europe it's not like that. I'm surprised that it's not, at least to a degree. In Europe, you'd think it would be even more because there's so much like historical stuff. Here, if I'm ruining the curb at the Walmart, it doesn't matter. But if I'm ruining like a 500-year-old, you know, like, I don't know, whatever. It seems like there might be more pushback against people skating in public over there than there is. You might trip and fall and break a window in an 800-year-old thing. I don't know, whatever. But I think the second reason is because of work culture. So when I worked in an office, we were paid on salary, meaning not by the hour. And I remember when some of the guys had to stay late and work all night and barely got home to sleep and just come back again, they would act like they have done this, like they were a hero and they saved the company and they did all this amazing stuff and like they feel so great about themselves. And I never got to that point. I wanted to leave exactly when 5:30 hit. 5:31, I'm in my car. But for them, like, working a lot is a virtue. It's like a great thing. You're helping the economy and you're moving things along and capitalism and all this type of stuff. And I think that that's a very American mindset. And I have it to a degree. So two of my friends work a lot less than me. The one guy, he'll take the day off for any reason. If he didn't sleep great, he'll take the day off. His kid sneezed once, he'll take the day off. There's not a lot to do at work and it's just kind of slow, he'll take the day off, whatever. Like, he leaves all the time. And I have to fight, like, my first reaction to that, which I think is rooted in being jealous because I work a lot, is to be like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so lazy? Why don't you go back? Like, you could just sit there on the clock and make money. Like, what are you gonna, you're just leaving? And it's hard. I have to fight that, to not think that he's just being lazy and just make fun of him for not working as much. But it's good. I'd love to take time off. I'm with my work, I'm self-employed. So if I take a day off, I have to work twice as hard to make up for it because I don't have anyone to, like, you know, to cover for me. So it's whatever. Anyway, I have a different friend who, she works for about a month and then she goes on a vacation for a week or two. She's always flying out somewhere, not this year, but in the past, she'd be flying out everywhere. She'd be in Washington this weekend and doing all this stuff. And I'm always asking her, like, when do you actually work? Here's the thing. I would love to be out traveling and not working all the time. But, like, my first reaction is, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? And so I think that's another part of it. So if I'm at the office, I'm an hour 47 of a 60-hour work week. I'm just being grinded down into dust. And I go outside to, like, grab some documents from my car. And there's some skaters out there. There's some kids. No, they're not even kids. They're in their 20s. There's some guys in their 20s in the middle of the workday, just defacing my company property here by doing some board slides and stuff like that. Like, there's this instant, how dare they, you know? Like, if I have to work this much, why are you being so lazy? Why aren't you accomplishing something? Why aren't you contributing to society? Why aren't you building value for your corporation or something like that? And I think that's a big part of it, because I feel that sometimes, like, in the middle of the day, you're just doing whatever you want. Why aren't you working like I am? And I think that's a big part of it too. So I'm glad that you don't run into these things, but I do think that that is two big reasons why it may be different here than it is there. So yeah, that was an interesting one. I did a lot of thought on that one, and that's what I came up with. If you have questions for me, especially nice thought-provoking ones like that, go to radratvideo.com and submit them on the homepage. You can also join my Patreon. You can submit a question there as well, and I will definitely answer you that way. But that's it for now. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.